my call. Hang on a second. Hello, Rapata. How are you? You been away, have you? Oh, I see. You're doing a bit of work up there. Oh, okay. Okay, cattle or something. Oh, okay. You're still doing the honey, eh? Honey. You're still doing the honey?
Yeah, we're finished.
Oh, finished. Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I've been working on the thing. Did I send you the writ warrant with in the PDF? I think it was 6 pages. Did I send you it?
Oh, no, 6 pages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Whakapapa on it.
yeah. No, I've got more to add on to the end, but I won't be finished it until late today because I'm sending it up north, and it's just showing the church title and the Manukau title, the original Manukau title to Scotland. And I've figured it out now, and I told them, I rang them up there, and so they'll be ready for the hui in Parihaka. But we've got to make a move now to catch them in the what they're doing now at Te Papa. They're putting their founding documents. That was on the news yesterday. They've shifted it and putting it in the library, the Treaty of Waitangi. And so they know that there's something going on. So the iwis, I see Mark Solomon there. Hello? Oh, it went off.
Yeah.
They're back now. Yeah, no, I saw Maui Solomon on TV, on the news, on the shifting the Treaty of Waitangi document down in Wellington into the library. So they're getting nervous now because what's happening here to challenge that title.
Yeah.
And they're trying to get the public on their side to say that it's the founding document. And so Ngāpuhi will fix them up from this.
Yeah.
And say this is the original private contract in the Admiralty. It's a private contract, you see.
Yeah.
And they can't change that date, that 1831 date. It's because King William IV with this flag was from 1830 to 1837. Hang on. Hang on a second. My mate's on Skype in Scotland. I was just sending a message that I'm waiting for your call. So I'll get back to him after. Yeah, so that's him. I can go back to him afterwards. Yeah, no, I've been checking out a big aircraft, and they watch what I do all the time. A big VIP one. For when we go to Scotland, they come here and we go there. So he follows up on what I all the machines and everything I get. He's a builder, you see. So anyway, so Ngāpuhi will go down and make a mandate, and I email it straight to Theresa May in the government in Britain to recognise us, to get the military there behind us, right? That you need that to protect the country before you can do anything, and then we're going to go from there. But the title is not under the treaty where they're going to. It's under the Admiralty and the Pope with the papal bull the church title is the papal bull, you see. So that's the one that's the one at Tikitiki that's conquered the lands, is that church. And they use that. If you don't sign up to your birth certificate in the church for the land, the native land, then they'll bring the military and you wipe you out. That's what happened to the other ones. The other, Manapui and Waikato and those, they put up a fight, you see, against the British. This is against the British, not the government in Wellington. It's Australia, you see. Bill English and John Key, that's the Australian government running the country here. So we're going to run head on with them, back to the British can seize the land, you see, because they did it in 1868 when the government sold the lands without getting the sovereignty from Britain. They're not supposed to sell these lands. All those lands that have been sold from 1830 to 1837, that's when Queen Victoria came in, all those lands that got sold are illegal, including the ones that they sold in the Manukau land in Auckland, right? So that, and I just found yesterday, I only just found where they've joined the title at Waitangi with the Manukau title in Auckland. It's on the Victoria University documents. I'll send it to you later. I've got them now, I've screen printed them to put them there on that writ warrant. That all the land, and what happened is they bodged, the government here bodged, or I think they murdered Simon, the guy that, Simon Street in Auckland, he's the one that was the surrogate like me, King William. He's the one that brought the title over for the Scottish people to settle at the Manukau Heads. That was in 1840. But then he got drowned, and the other guy with him got drowned. But I think they murdered him and took that title and altered it. Right? Those people from Scotland they pre-bought the land in Scotland from the real estate company, the Manukau Land Company, right? And so they switched it over here and called it the Manukau Waitemata Land Company. You see? They tampered with our contract with the Manukau Company in Scotland and switched the titles in Auckland, because they bought the title, the government, from Kororareka up in Russell down to Auckland. And all the Auckland titles was the East Cape titles, called Auckland titles, stretched down to East Cape. Yeah, so that was only in the time between 1837 and 1840. So I'm going back a stage where they legally sold land from 1830 at Kororareka. All the lands were sold by the British, not by these Australian, New Zealand ones. The British sold the land and made the deal with Pomare, see? Before the treaty. So they put presumption, presumption in their new titles, and then they took the old titles of land sold and put it into their new one. You see what I mean? They mixed them up. Yeah, they did that in Auckland, because that's where everything started from, the Manukau Land Company. And yet all their new titles have got the name Manukau in it. So I'm telling the hui and Parihaka, I put the Manukau titles treaty settlement together, the Y121, and I told the OTS of treaty settlements to tell all the other claimants to take that Manukau name off, because it doesn't belong to them. It belongs to this Paramount chief. So now I'm telling the chiefs that come to Parihaka to name their paramount chief of the whole country, right? And take the whole lot, one stock, lock and barrel. Paramount is everything, right? The paramount chief will override the papal bull's title. You see? If you can prove the fraud exists. Yeah, and well, the fraud is in the church. The fraud was buried into church with King William. Because the church can't get around the world without an admiralty to birth the certificate of your name. See? You see what I mean? And so that's where the church got the register and put the registrar of the name of all the Maoris and everybody into the registrar of the court, which was then a King's Bench court. That's what we set up. See? And then when he died, the Queen came along with the Queen's Bench court and made the King silent. So, yeah, he passed on, but that was the last king. You see, so there was nothing, all we had to do was liven up our contract. Because no one can touch a private contract. When you look at those old land sales, the British old land sales, it's got private land purchases, right? I think you've come across that. Private land purchases when you go into the Victoria University and it says land. Eh? Yeah, that's right. That's how they, when anything that's got private on it, it means the judge goes around the back in the private and settles that part of the law out. He can't do it in a court because it's not his court to do it. So he goes out the back in the room where he deals with a king's court's matters, right, in the private. Because that's a Queen's Bench court he's working for on the contract. Everything is a contract. So that's the difference between that court and the court I set up in Waitangi. And I set up with us down there. And I've been talking to William Pepere, right? He's in charge of the marae and Rahui marae with the bookings. And I told him what we're doing here, why the hui. And he says, holy hell, geez, never knew that. I said, it's been hidden, mate. I'm bringing it back and putting it back in the church to join the church back to the hapu with its title and its birth certificates, right? And he said, oh, he didn't look at it that way. I said, well, that's what's been going on. And so that's what I'm telling those fellas up north. Because they're really mad over it now, of what it actually means. A private land purchase rather than a native land sale. Private admiralty, right? Only in the King's time, between that period 1830 1837. That's the crucial title time that the British had anything to do with us. Yeah? So, where shall I say? That came under the Manukau Treaty copy. That's where that title went missing. When they put the Manukau Treaty together, that's when this fellow Simons went missing. But he's still got Cornwallis, because that's his name, Cornwallis. The name's Cornwallis is still, what I'm saying to those Ngāpui fellas is we claim the name on the land that's still there. So I claim the fellow Cornwallis at Manukau Heads. So that's the Puponga site of the Manukau tribesmen. And when Ngāti Whātua came along, it absorbed everything and mixed it all up. You see, and they mixed the moriori in it, which is the Manukau. And I separated them out of it, out of the Manukau, away from the Manukau, and left them out and the Manukau on its own. You see, that's what I did on One Tree Hill. They couldn't stop me going on One Tree Hill to open it up with a Chick Kraka was up there, and all his family was there, because the Campbells, you see. That's his Campbell family up there. And when he went to do his talk, he stopped, right? Something hit him, and he stopped dead. He says, afterwards he said to me, something happened to me. I said, yeah, well, this is what I mean. This is you're standing on the Manukau's gravesite. This is their hill, the gravesite that these people dug them all out. And Mohi Manukau was still alive and they dug them out when he was 38. They couldn't stop it because they had the army there, the British. Dug all those out of One Tree Hill and put John Campbell up there. Before Mohi Manukau died, he says, John, can you go up there and chuck that thing off my hill? And I says, oh, well, see, you see? So, but I'm just saying, the name is still on the land. The Manukau name is still on the land. Came from Manukau over on Chatham Islands, and the Waitangi over there came to Waitangi up north. No one can argue against what I'm saying, because it's all on his whakapapa here. And the Paraparas. Right? Those two names go together on the North and the South Island. Everywhere you go with a Manukau, there's a Parapara. They're stuck together in down the South Island as well, all the way down. And on Chatham Islands, all those names over there are here. And the Maoris took them and said, oh, they took them from here to there. No, it's the other way around. I says, well, are you a Manukau to talk? I says, you're not, I'm talking for Manukau. You see? So that fixes that part up, but the main thing is this, the church, with the Reverend Wanoa and the Reverend Ka. That's it. That's a title on its own. At 1831, and no one down Ngāti can argue with that. Just that alone. And once they get it from Parihaka back to the hui down in Rahui, I'm having the hui there now. I put it off from the 6th, because he rang me up to see if I still want the marae for the 6th, and they're having a meeting there. I said, no, I'll wait till I get the mandate first from Parihaka, and then I'll let you know when we have the hui, right?
Yeah.
Because I said to him, this is historic, it's going to fix the land back to the hapu and their paramount chief. And then it's off to England. See? And so I've got the citations now on that document that joins, I'll send it to you in a minute, that joins the Manukau in that document on that title with Rogan, right? Yeah. The Rogan that married the Manukau and the Rogan that married the Wanoa is the same Rogan that joined these two titles together from Waitangi and Manukau here in Auckland. See? That was before 1840. Yeah, that was in the 1830 period. Before they opened up the Treaty of Waitangi. So everything in the Treaty of Waitangi is now a fraud, levy debtor against them. And that's where we're jumping in with one title to another. So the best way was to get it one crack shot, right? Than to play around with little claim here and little claim there, which is what they're trying to do with Maori. Make them jump and whatever they don't claim, they claim. See? Before they settle out. If they settle Ngāpuhi and Ngāti Pro out, that's the end. You can't go back on a contract because everything is contract. Everything in the world, no matter what anybody says, they can throw any law, the tikanga law or any law, Tutiaro Whenua Act won't matter. Because the law is the church, right? They used the church because the Pope and the King William went together, and the King William the Third and King William the Fourth. The King William the Third and Fourth comes from Brussels. They're Dutch, right? The Dutch owns the Vatican. And so because we're claiming the Dutch, man, we're right in that too. See? I think that's why I'm getting left alone. And everybody else is getting scammed on Facebook except me. See? They're all moaning about getting scammed or stopped. I never get stopped from making statements. So now I've named them on Facebook. I've put their names of all those ones that I'm taking into this native court in Parihaka online. Right? It doesn't matter if it gets them, it's made public. I'm going to get to them one by one, but I ran out of time because I'm still researching to block the holes up, block all the holes up, so that nobody can go and try and rebut it or counterclaim against what I'm saying publicly on videos, right? Yeah. And the video, what happens in any court is you're not supposed to disclose to anybody anything that is private. And so I'm making everything public before I go to any court, that there's nothing to talk about when you go to court. See, so the judge has no court. He needs a defendant and a claimant to make him, because it's cost a lot of money to do a case like this in court. So I'm doing a trial by media, online, you see? And the more people know, the more that the judge has no say. You see? A court will only make a case if there are complaints from the public, right? From the public. Well, if someone from the public makes a complaint, he sticks himself in the hinaki straight away. If I name him, and he'll get to know that his name is up, including Rangiraro's name is there, and Herewini Muturangi Tikoha, he's the new CEO. I have to put their names there because they're answerable to the trust, right? Yeah. So Rangi, I put him there because he's responsible for holding us back from going on that land, right? And that's just business, not personal. It's business because the Crown put him there. The Crown put him there, and it's up to anyone to come up with anything better than what I'm putting online. He has to come up with a whakapapa or anything or instruments from the Crown to offset this. Rather than that, I have to take everyone who is blocking the land from this church title, right? They've got their own New Zealand LINS titles. That's their business, right? I'm talking about a British title without contract. You see, two different contracts. They're under Queen Victoria and Queen Elizabeth, well, more or less under Queen Elizabeth and the Treaty of Waitangi. They are useless without the Treaty of Waitangi. If we got rid of the Treaty of Waitangi, they'll have no legal standing at all. So if I knock the treaty out with these guys, with the Paramount chiefs, they've got nothing to go on. See? So I just had a look on Facebook. Africa is doing the same thing now. Africa's taking their country back as well from the British. And the Muslims are taking England over because they're saying if the Queen doesn't get out of England, they're going to take it over. See, so I have to hurry because I've got to be there to save Britain with this flag, because all the countries are under this flag, and the Vatican, the Papal Bull titles, and the Papal Bull is getting rid of their titles because they don't want to be mixed up in all the fraud that all the other people have committed and themselves, but the majority of fraud in the world is caused by the Catholic Church and the Church of England. Both those churches are now being killed off by the black people. Even in America, just go around and slaughtering them in their homes. They don't care now. They just go in home and ransack the place and put them up against the wall and put a knife through them. And they can't stop them because there's too many of them doing it. See? Yeah. And if the policemen try and stop them, they just shoot them. Then it's martial law under this flag. That's what the Vatican and Rothschilds do. They create this situation like this so that they can use this flag to seize the lands. That's what they do. They create it because it's a war flag. I'm just telling those now for you. No, this is a war flag. It's a declaration of independence flag for the government here. Because that's what they said on Te Papa on the news last night. They're having a historic occasion for the Treaty of Waitangi and the Declaration of Independence flag. You see? They're useless without it. But those Maoris are going along, the white Maoris are going along to spur it on to keep that legacy going. See, the 1835, the same flag, the 1835 flag was legislated out. The government legislated it out, so it's useless for them to talk about. But they're only going on what the history was, as if it's gone now and we're taking over. See? That's why they're making the public believe them. To carry on the myth, huh? Yeah. For us, Rapata, it's we only want the title to the land so we can stop getting lost and making nothing out of our land. That contract is taking all the money and all the resources out of it, and they're going to get the rest of it if their contract gets through. And at the moment, Ngāti Porou's contract is not paid out yet. Do you know if it's been paid out yet, the 130 or so?
No, I'm not too sure. It probably has.
Because the last I heard that Sue was holding it up, but it may have been dispersed already, so I can't really tell. And Sue has gone all quiet, and her group of people across the west coast have gone quiet as well. They're all gone quiet and nobody's saying nothing, which is quite eerie. They're not putting up a fight up against what I'm saying. Not at all. So that's the latest, is that document. I'll send that document to you where it's joined, where it's on record, the university, because everything in the university, that's what they go on, right? Yeah. It's got the Manukau claim up north in Waitangi, and the Auckland Manukau title joined together on the one page. It's all the claims pre-1830 to 1839, right? From 1830 to 1839. See, they only went from 1830 to 1839 before the Treaty of Waitangi. So that when it got to 1839, that's when they switched it from the Manukau Company, land company, or they call it the Manukau Company in Scotland. All those people had bought the land, right? They got their receipt, bought the land, sold from there. The real estate company there is called the Manukau Land Company. They bought the land to come here to find that it wasn't there, right? So they had an instrument and title and fee simple paid before they got here. That's from Britain. And it was these pirates here that flipped it. Killed that guy off when he was holding the documents, grabbed the documents, then made it the Manukau Waitangi Land Company. Because they put the capital over here in Waitamata, in Kohimarama, right? And took over that title that thing did all the work for. But they didn't change the names and put the other chiefs' names on the land. That they put Kawao, Tinana, and Tamaki. Those three chiefs weren't Morioris. You see? That's what Mohi said. Hey, that's not my chiefs. That's one is Tainui and one is up Mapui. That's not my chiefs. That's sold the land. I says, I can see that a mile off. Yeah, they made them. See, Kawao Island, that's where they locked this fellow Refa. And it's got Refa Manukau there on the land. On that Rogan title. Refa Manukau, that's where the land was sold from Refa Manukau to Te Waikato Wharahere Manukau that put the titles together in Cambridge in England from his Mangatotiri, Cambridge Pa, the Mangatotiri Pa. And so he put the native titles together before those British used it to come here to buy the land. See? So when they got here, they stuck them in Avondale. And they left that Cornwallis clear for their own title for Auckland. Now I'm making them prove who gave you authority to get that land. Show me. You see? Against this Manukau title. Show me who you are and where you come from. And they won't be able to answer it. See? So we're safe there at Rangitukia with the Rogan and the church at 1831. That's before the 1834 flag, right? That flag we've got had two sides to it, the 1834 British side and the 1835 Maori side. Right? Two halves of the same flag. They had switched it over to make the government take over the 1835 flag off the Maoris and turn it into our 1840 treaty. There. See? So if you go back stages, you'll land up back in where everything came from. The church. The church was the first title here of the lands they were selling from Britain at 1830. See? The British themselves. And so that's what I'm going under, to get the land back into British custody, right? Yeah, British custody. Because they did that once before. In Auckland here, they seized all the land back as soon as they did the treaty here in Auckland. The British seized all the lands, then gave it back to the new government, where they are now. So now I'm telling them the same thing. We're going to seize it all off here because of this John Key thing and that and that and that. And your fraud treaty. And your fraud legal transfer of lands. See? That's a good one, eh?
Yeah.
So I'll send you this thing in a minute. You got any other questions?
No,
Okay, so there's 12 of us going over to Parihaka with 12 of Jim Wikotu. And he's taking a lot from Waimana, from his marae, his own marae in Apotiki, and Kutarere, and from us at Rangitukia, whoever turns up and goes with him. That's our ropu to go to thing with this title from Tikitiki. Oh, and Rangitukia, but Tikitiki. Yeah, Tikitiki and Whakawhitira, right? Those land titles were put together in Whakawhitira. The land purchase, the private land purchases was put together in Whakawhitira, where they distributed or they dispersed the maraes. That's where they consolidated all the maraes. On that date with the church, consolidated all the maraes, right? They took over all the maraes there at Whakawhitira. And all their legal stuff was done in the church in Tikitiki, with the crown being in both places, Whakawhitira, something over there. That's where they must be a marae there, where they were doing it for the mountain, right? So that clears that up. What we're talking about, where our names are on that. On the legal documents. Your name is stuck with mine there on these titles on that day, saying I was here. And you know, like our family, I'm talking about our two families in the church. We've got the church fact evidence to prove that your family was there at the same time as mine. Mine came from Tahiti, and I'm saying to Ngāpuhi, we all came from Tahiti Islands, or from Cook Islands. So the Cook Islands was already there at the coast, right? The Cook Islands and the Moriori was there prior or roundabout. I'm just saying the Moriori and the Cook Island was already there. And that's proven on what I've been backtracking through Chatham's and back through to Cook Islands. There's a connection there, but they have to take my word or no word. There's too much stuff there to block anybody else from trying to write this story, right? And everything I'm doing has no connection to the laws of the government here, or the UCC or the canon law, courier law and all the rest of it. It's just straight 1830 to 1837 laws that I'm taking with these documents. We can use any of those laws on anybody else, and that's our business, see? Because they haven't used it, the Maori haven't used it yet. They haven't used those laws. They only went along with the government here being lazy not to do it themselves. See? So they can't stop me from using those laws. And back to King William III, 1650 to 1702, I can use those ones as well, because it's got the power note in that one. See? Good, eh? So that's all I wanted to tell you, mate, is that I'm completing the documents today, hopefully today or tomorrow, to send up to Bundy Waitai. And he's the chief of all the grand jury, native King's Bench Court. Kingi is just the marae boss or chief of Titi Marae and Waitangi Marae, but not the commercial side. The commercial side will be Bundy, myself, Manahi, Parapara Mohini. See, he's carrying the Parapara name, see? I think you know him, Manahi. Yeah, huh? Yeah, the Mohini, yeah. So he's carrying that name and that title to cover that Moriori part, right? And I'm carrying the Kahaki name in my own name, and the Kahaki joined to the Wanoa name as being Te Kahaki, then Wanoa, right? On the land, and so that goes together with the church, and the church with you and me in the church as our legacy. No one's going to argue with that. I'm just making the point, a legal point about it on front of everybody, that we have a direct connection there with the Papal Bull title, which goes straight back through the Vatican and straight to King William. There. And with the Manukau being in England in 1830, right? 1820, Te Waikato was there 1820 to 1830. Now, the guy the Manukau that was in that Rogan document is Refa Manukau. He's the one that was running the Maungatautari Paha. He's the one they captured and locked up on Kawa Island, and he escaped and swam back. They didn't think he could get out, and they never found him after that. But his name they changed to Rewa, up in Russell, up there in Rawene, up on the hill, the graveyard there. Mohi took me up there. I videoed that on the old cassette things. I videoed all with Mohi, right from there down to Parihaka and down to the Ratana, because he was a minister, 50 years he's been a Freemason. And so he took me up to Rawene and he showed me the grave at the gate, the closest one to the gate. He says, the closest one to the gate is the oldest one. And he says, there is Refa's gravesite there. That name, Rewa, they changed it. That's Refa Manukau from Maungatautari. The Cambridge there is the Cambridge in England. That's why it's called Cambridge here, on his land. See? So if you put that Manukau with that Cambridge to the Cambridge in England, that's it. And the Manukau and the Manukau heads, and the Manukau on the Chatham Islands, the Manukau name there, the Manukau down in Shannon, Levin, they put Manukau, but that's still the same Manukau. And the Manukau in South Island, up the top in Golden Bay, over there, the Parapara and the Manukau is over there, on those land blocks there. I forget what the name's called, but it's the Parapara Manukau estate land over there. That's in the heritage there. That's the other title there. Those two are in there. The Parapara is there too as well. Motueka, that's all Parapara Manukau lands, all right through there, all that area there, where the pa was. See? And so you got Manukau all over the land, and I was saying to them, all those treaty claims, take that name off your treaty claim, and what you got? Nothing. No reference point. See? No reference point. Or take the name Rogan off, and what you got? Nothing. So that's how that works. The thing is looking much clearer now for everybody that's picking it up from the little videos I'm doing. Just to explain it, and I try and explain it on the writ warrant. That's why it's taking me a bit longer to put together, because I put a 14-day notice from the 14th of this month to the 28th for anybody to rebut it. That's just a notice of intent, and then I'll send them the notice that we're going to come after everything. But I wanted to go straight and seize the land straight away from Parihaka, because they've had enough notice. They've all had enough notice. I've already given the ones on Haho 7B notice in the last 3 years, and C12 block and those ones at Loddon Point on the motel. I've already given them notice enough times on Facebook and YouTube to just go straight in with a mandate. Right? So that's all, mate? Yep. Okay? I'll send this thing to you in a minute, just that document, and then you can see where I'm coming from, alright? Yeah. Okay? Alright, thanks Rapata. I'll let you know how things go. Okay, cheers. Bye. There you go. That's Rapata. He's with my family, the Wanoa family, in the St. Mary's Church in Tikitiki. He's very thorough on his research, apart from up north here. He has a good handle on the Moriori side and the Cook Island side, and the British side at Rangitukia. So that place there is significant in our history, why I wanted a perfected title. Perfected title, meaning that everything I say on this video and other videos is fact evidence before it hits the court, so that the judge or anyone making a complaint or a claim against what I say have nothing to say. The judge can't make a hearing without a complaint from the public or a counterclaim or rebuttal of this and many other videos. There's 950 videos altogether. You'll have to go through the lot of them to rebut the whole lot of them. Okay? I didn't make them for nothing. And the affidavits, it's over 3,000 affidavits. So any one of those affidavits will get pulled up any time in front of you that you did not rebut it. And the same with this 14-day notice that's public. It's on my Facebook. It's not my fault if you can't see it, but it's there. It's on YouTube. You can see it on YouTube. For those who I have named as criminal fraudsters in New Zealand, are there to rebut what I'm saying, either in writing or email or another video with them standing in front of me on YouTube to defend their name and surname and company name or corporate fiction name, or I call it a humbug name, a illusion or a fake real person as an it or a thing or a block of concrete or a person who can't speak. So they use lawyers and judges to speak for the corporate dead person. Even birth certificates, dead persons in America is rife for that. They're the biggest pirates in this whole world and Israel for using dead people as live people and making money out of a dead person's certificate, birth certificate. So I've got issues about the birth certificate. My birth certificate, it's expensive on this court case. After we go through Parihaka and to Bundy, Waitai, I spoke to you on the phone the other day. I'll be sending the writ warrant with the added bits on the end, which states that the Rogan judge connected Waitangi treaty claim on Kororareka with the Manukau claim here in Auckland that I'm sitting on and claiming back into the Manukau hapu and the Wanoa Moai Rogan hapu with the Moai statue. I'm speaking for the Moai memorial statue of all the Tahitian people in the world and all the Pacific Island people connected to Moai as a memorial title over native lands in the whole world under the blueprint of New Zealand or Aotea, or the real name of New Zealand was originally Hikurangi, Aorangi, Raki, Taranaki, Raki, South Island, Aoraki, North Island, Hikurangi, Aorangi or Aoraki joined on Mount Hikurangi up from Tikitiki, St. Mary's Church of England in 1831. That's what it looked like here on these lands, just those names. They've been changed by Maori, and to Maori and Iwi, I see on the news last night that you are shifting your 1840 Treaty of Waitangi, fraudulent, founding documents of this country, and attached to that is this flag of King William IV, Admiralty jurisdiction, private contract flag. You've gone and usurped it for your 1840 treaty and stuck it into the library in Wellington from the archives, locked up like prisoners. The documents that are eaten away, they are not legal because they are defaced. They are not legal because they have no end date. Can you hear what I'm saying? I'm more or less a contract man, equal to a contract lawyer, or better, when it comes to native land titles, and absolute titles at that, and paramount chiefs at that as well. So I'm saying clearly that the government in New Zealand, or New South Wales, government in exile, that means a pretend government that only has 3 years every year to re-elect because they can't have a complete control over this country because we're standing in your road, legally and legitimately standing right over you. And so they transferred these documents, ragged, broken looking documents, to fool you people in New Zealand and the world, and shift them into their new home in boxes to make it illusion look like it's real, in plywood boxes, right, as cheap as what you can make it look like, plywood boxes into the National Library in Wellington so that people can just gawk at it and say, well, it's in there locked up in another box. You see? That's how you pirates are unruly, fraudulent mobsters running this country into the ground, all for profits for your own private investment interests and not the public's and the paramount chiefs' financial investment interests and their safety and their natural resources that we are now proclaiming to be the private contract owners of this flag that you're playing with. And that constitutes corruption, fraud and treason against us, the commercial land owners. Get that in your head, Bill English. We are now legally the commercial land owners under this 1830